Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wrestling on the Fly with the Devil's Double, Jesse Daniels. We're here today live at the Gympie show, wrestling for IWA. We've got wrestlers from Rockhampton, we've got wrestlers from the Gympie area, and we've got wrestlers from Brisbane, Caboolture, Morayfield, everywhere. So this is a really good opportunity to shine a light on Queensland wrestling. So without further ado, I would like to welcome a guest to Wrestling on the Fly. He is the swashbuckler of the seas, the gold hunting, booty banging Captain Jozef Blackheart.
Yarr. How's it going, guys? I'm happy to be here.
Now, I know a little bit about you. Unfortunately, because of where we are going to do some microphone swapping back and forth. I know a little bit about you. I know that your home promotion is Wrestling Allegiance Rockhampton. Excellent. WAR War Rockhampton. Excellent. But other than that, I know you've been wrestling for a couple of years, but this is a really good opportunity for us to get to know you, find out your backstory, and find out what Captain Jozef Blackheart is all about. So, first question. How did you first get into wrestling?
So, thank you. So I was on lunch break at my previous job maybe 5-ish years ago, and I was just sitting there eating a burger, KFC, and these two fellas came behind me that were talking about wrestling, and I sort of just autistically inserted myself into their conversation, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're actually wrestlers. We need a cameraman. Do you want to come down and shoot for us?" And so I was like, "Absolutely." Went, did that, and I guess I just never looked back. I went from cameraman to ring boy to then referee to then be able to train and actually become a wrestler myself, and it's been one of the most gratifying things that I've ever done. And yeah, it's a very, very chance meeting, because obviously Rocky is very isolated, especially for wrestling. Like, there's nothing in a 4 or 5 hour vicinity from us. So I never even thought it was a possibility to do. So when I heard that, I jumped at the opportunity. Yeah.
That's brilliant because, like, from there, you're not just wrestling in Rockhampton now. I've seen your name. Not only are you here in Gympie, which is what you've taken a good 4 or 5 hour driving trip to get here today for the opportunity. Just try and get your name out there, and your name's already getting out there because we've seen you up in Townsville. I have a feeling we're going to see you in Brisbane very soon. I know that there's talk about potentially New South Wales and everything like that. So you're really one of the guys in Queensland that's trying to break out, get themselves noticed, right? Tell us about that. How did you first go reaching out to other companies and being like, I'm wrestling here in Rockhampton. I've put in the effort. I've been training. I want to see how I go on the indie scene of Australia and whether or not I can get my name out there. How the wheels start rotating for that?
Yeah. So it started probably with QWA. Some of the guys from Rockhampton were routinely going up to Townsville, and I happened to tag along on one of my first trips in end of 2022. That I was super anxious, super nervous about it all because I'd only had like 5 matches by that point. But I started getting really good feedback from people, and I guess I only worked Townsville for the first year and a half because I sort of wanted to get some reps up, and I was a little bit nervous about branching out to those other companies because it seemed very, very like I already knew these guys because they were coming to here, so they were like already friendly, but I didn't know anybody to branch out to down south potentially. So I think one day I just sort of was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna message a bunch of companies, see what happens, and it started working at Wide Bay. I made my Atomic debut recently. Um, there's been some very good people that have been supporting me, or people that I didn't even know were watching, um, taking notice that they gave me an opportunity, which is really cool. I think one of the biggest things is putting yourself out there. One of my favorite quotes is, the heaviest weight in the gym is the door. Taking that first step is usually one of the hardest things, I think. But once you're there, you're there, you know.
I love that. Love
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, it's been a process. learning, growing, training is very difficult in Rockhampton due to lack of experience and stuff. So I try and take every opportunity I can. I drive 6 hours whenever I can. I drive 9 hours to Townsville. I drive 8 hours to Brisbane. It's it's what we do to make the things we want to do work, right?
100%. And like, it's definitely one of the things that I've 100% noticed is like, it's one thing for a guy to be from Queensland and call themselves a Queensland wrestler. But when we look at your case, you're not just a Queensland wrestler in the sense of that's where you come from. You are wrestling in Brisbane, Townsville, you're wrestling in Rockhampton, Toowoomba. Pretty much anywhere there's a company, you are putting yourself out there, and especially in Maryborough as well. We can't forget Wide Bay Pro Wrestling, and you're absolutely in every sense of the word a Queensland wrestler because you're wrestling everywhere there is to wrestle in Queensland. You still got to hit the Gold Coast though.
I do.
And the reason you got to hit the Gold Coast is because it's right there, right near the beach, and you're a pirate. And I want to talk about your pirate persona.
Sure.
First of all, in a legal sense of the term, are you a real captain?
Next question.
Oh, this is groundbreaking. Groundbreaking discovery. I do. Have you ever been on a ship?
I've been on boats.
Okay. Did you steer that boat?
I did, actually, as a kid.
Okay. Legitimate captain since he was a child.
Child captain.
So on your resume, you've been a captain for how many years?
Probably since I was 8 years old. Yeah, nearly 20 years now.
That is a lot longer than I've been a captain. I am yet to be a captain. But I want to talk about the captain persona because I kid you guys not, we went to Woolworths last night to do some groceries while we're on this because we're up here for about 3 or 4 days. So we had to go to Woolies to get some groceries so that we don't go too far out of pocket buying all of the potatoes on sticks and Dagwood dogs and everything like that.
Fried Oreos and stuff.
All the fried Oreos, fried Mars bars. We don't want to go out of pocket. But he wore his hat in the Woolworths. This man exudes pirate from head to toe. He was telling me that the very first tattoo he got was a sailing ship on his leg. You can't see it, and you should be thankful for that, let me tell you. How did you go about being a pirate and coming up with a pirate persona? Because from what I know, it's just who you are as a person.
Sure. So I guess it started. Me and my best mate have watched wrestling since I was a little kid. One of the things that I always really like is voice acting and stuff. So like, I love imitating, putting on voices. I've gotten to the point where I can just switch it on now. Like, yar, what's going on? Captain Blackheart here. I've tried to get it very consistent, but I wanted to. I've always loved the entertainment style of things, the R-Truth, the Santinos, like, and I think I wanted to be a little bit more of a character and to be able to showcase an entertainment value in a different way than anybody else was at the time of when I was starting to train as well too. I'm big on picking out niches, like finding what's missing in the scene, and I just couldn't see a pirate anywhere. And so I was like, you know what? Let me take that and run with it. I brainstormed for a couple of weeks about ideas, gimmicks, names, and I think so. Joseph is actually my middle name as well too, which I wanted to incorporate a little bit of that realness into my own character. But I can't lie. I'm not that big into pirates. That's the thing. It just sort of fell upon me, and I've just sort of taken the ball and ran with it in a way.
So have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean?
I have not. Oh, I've seen bits of it. I've seen enough to know, like, the memes, you know?
Treasure Island.
No. I've seen Peter Pan.
Okay, so are you telling me that your whole pirate persona is based off Captain Hook?
Just about, yeah. Like Captain Hook mixed with, I guess, my own personal self.
Honestly, I think that's even more amazing in the sense that, the research that you've done for your gimmick is literally trial and error on what works and what people can react to and relate to. And you aren't trying to force something down their throats that's directly from Hollywood and has already been done. So in effect, you're not trying to get over in a cheap way. Everything that you're doing is entirely original in your own sense of being.
Yeah, I mean, I at first I've sort of I don't mind it anymore, but I always didn't really like the Captain Jack Sparrow. Like that's all I get called is Captain Pete, Captain Jack Sparrow, Pirate Pete, Butt Pirate, literally whatever. And I think my mindset has come across to like, it doesn't matter what you call me, it doesn't matter what you do, you remember that there was a pirate there. That's the end of the thing, you know. Like, oh, that bloody pirate, bloody that. That's it. You remember there was a pirate there. It doesn't matter if you remember my name. When you see me come out, you're like, yeah, that's the pirate.
I love that. And we've already spoken about you being able to go like all over Queensland. You're looking to go into New South Wales, get your name out there and stuff.
Going to Perth in July.
Going,
yeah, I'm heading to the EPW Perth camp in July, which I'm very excited for as well.
100%. Like, you know, hats off to you. You know, you're one of the guys that's going out there and you're doing everything the right way. And I champion that. Like, I absolutely love what you're doing in every sense of it. Like, I cannot talk enough praise about you right now. And it's not just because you're a guest sitting here on the edge of the ring with me, you know. But you know, you're still learning, you're still growing as a person. In that regard, when it comes to people that you have faced, what are some standout matches that you have done?
Ooh. One of my standout matches, I think, like I'm a very critical person on myself. I think we're all our own harshest critics, right? Every time I have a match, I'm like, oh, there's so many things I could have done better. Let me just move on to the next thing. I recently had a match with a guy called James Sugar Williams in QWA this weekend, and it was his first match ever. And he did just absolutely amazing. Worked the crowd, did all the right things. You know, if you watched that match, you probably couldn't tell it was his first match from my personal perspective. And I think I like giving back in a way. Like I want to do that immediately. And I think like those particular moments are some of my favorites, not even for the wrestling side of things, but for the people side of things. Because there's so many cool people, so many amazing, kind people in this business. And I'm just very grateful to be around a lot of those. Like I had a match at Rocky Nats probably 2.5 years ago with Dick Riggs. And he's just one of the kindest fellas I've ever met. And he just made it so easy. I think I treasure and value. I'm a very sentimental person, so I think I treasure and value the behind the scenes sometimes a little bit more than like actually out there. And if we get along, that makes it so much better in there too. Then I think too. There's been some really cool moments with Ghost Ship as well too. Me and my tag team partner Tyson DeHorn. At War, the crowd was so behind us that they forced us to be in the main event, and we won their tag team titles, and then we also went to Townsville and won their tag team titles at the same time, and it was a very exciting 6-month period, and it was awesome to do stuff with him. I think just the kind people make it easier for me, and that's what sticks out in my mind rather than the actual matches themselves.
I love that. I love that. Moving forward, because we've talked about people that you've had matches with, I'm guessing that as a wrestler, you've got a hit list of people that you would like to definitely be in the ring with and a bit of a bucket list that you want to tick off. If you could have your top 5 people from, let's just say from Australia, because if we start saying around the world, no Australians are going to make this. So if you had a top 5 list of Australian-based wrestlers that you wanted to get in the ring with and showcase what you can do, who's going to make that list?
That is a very tough question. There's a lot of amazing people.
That's what we do here. We ask the hard-hitting,
Hard-
tough questions
Very hard hitting.
that are really easy to answer.
Yeah. Now I want to preface that I love you all. No, so that's really tough. I think one of the first people that comes to mind, I think just because of his work rate, his just everything he does at the moment, Mitch Ryder comes to mind.
Yes.
I would absolutely love a match with that man, and he's been very kind to me also. There's just so many people.
He's definitely one of the good boys of Australian wrestling.
Yeah. I think I'd like a match with James Yeager.
Yep.
He just has a very distinct character that I think would really work face heel wise. Goodness me. Bobby Bishop would be a cool one. I think he really knows how to tell a story in a ring, and he knows how to just play things out into a match that make things make sense. Goodness, I'm trying to think. There's just Dan Archer is probably one of them on my list. I've watched him for a fair while now, and he is just freaking awesome. He's given me some really good personal advice as well, too, character-wise. And then on top of that, probably Matt Hayter.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah,
Lovely.
I think Matt Hayter would just, I feel like, compliment my character in the right ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like we'd have some real good fun out there. Yeah. So I guess that's 5 people, but I could name 100.
Well, I can see that's another list that I haven't made. But that's okay.
I wrestled you yesterday.
Doesn't matter. Unfortunately, we've only got time for one more question.
That's okay.
So the last question is one that I ask on every episode of Wrestling on the Fly. And all it is quite simply, if somebody was to come up to you from any show you were doing and said, I want to be a professional wrestler, what advice would you have for them, noting that your journey to becoming a pro wrestler has not been an easy one? You've started in an isolated place with wrestling. You've had to work your ass off, reach out places, travel to get the experience that you need to get where you are, and you have still got that fire lit inside of you. So if somebody was to come up to you and go, Captain, my captain, how do I become a professional wrestler? What advice would you have for them?
My advice would be, you got to want to do it. You have to commit, because it's not a thing that you can sort of half-ass. Find a good school somewhere near you, somewhere that's doing wrestling. I know 3 Count, I know UPW have some good places out in Brisbane. Townsville have QWA, of course, with some great people up there. You have to be committed. It will be one of the hardest things you will ever do. It will take a long time to get to the place you actually want to get to. People question their what ifs. What if I did this? Oh, I should have done this. I like to think and like to personally believe that I have none of those. I do everything that I want to do, and I keep myself happy in that regard. So yeah, don't have any what ifs. Do it if you want to do it. Work your freaking ass off and get to the place you want to get to. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one that can make your decision for that. You're the, we travel hours and hours and hours to get to the places that we want to be. If you want to do it, you'll do it. That's the end of the story, really. But yeah, one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. You'll meet some amazing people. All of my friends are now just wrestlers. But yeah, do it if you want to do it. If you don't want to, you'll be wondering forever if you could have done it.
Lovely. Excellent. Well, unfortunately, that's the end of the very rushed, very quick podcast. And hopefully the tractor pulling didn't interrupt anybody too much. Everybody, I've been the Devil's Double, Jesse Daniels, and this has been the swashbuckler of the 7 Seas, Captain Jozef Blackheart. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.